The Couture 303 Podcast with J Viper.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by Cinetico Fitness Studio, located on Shore Road in Speke. Cinetico is a boxing-based gym with classes to suit everyone, from kids to adults, and even a ladies-only boxing class with complimentary female DJ to smash the decks while you smash the pads. Full address and links to all socials can be found in the description below. Right, so today I'm joined in studio by a good friend of mine and an MC, and for the longest time, the only MC I ever had. It's Jon Edge, known as Edge MC.
How's it going, lad?
Thank you very much for doing this, Jon. How are you?
I'm boss, mate. I'm boss. How
good,
are you?
Good,
You're
good.
okay?
I'm not too bad. So, when I've done these in the past, what I've done is I've kind of started at the beginning, delving into the history, but you're a bit of a strange character because you've got your own documentary going, haven't you? So I'm not going to go too far into the history side of things. So what I'll do is I'll pretty much just start off with the nitty gritty. So what was your first introduction to music and dance music, or what did you listen to at home with your parents and stuff like that?
Okay, so growing up for me, obviously I come from a broken home, so I was quite close to my uncle Paul, and he was proper into his music. So he was into everything from Echo and the Bunnymen, the Lars, right through to like Ice-T, Ice Cube. So I got introduced into like sort of rap music at a young age. Now, obviously back then, you didn't really see any white people into that music, so I was sort of a one-off. And then as we got into our teens, I used to knock around with Gary, DJ Silly G, Andy Jones, and then they were into like this hardcore music. Now I couldn't stand hardcore music. I didn't like it whatsoever. I didn't like it at all. And what happened was, funny enough, because they used to play it all the time, DJing and stuff like that. Andy actually owed me money, right? And what he done, instead of paying me the money, he bought a ticket, right, for Pandemonium and Andromeda in the Hard Dock in 1994.
Shut up.
Right? So what happened was, and I wanted the fucking money, do you know what I mean? Because he owed me £15 and that was what the ticket cost. And he went, oh, instead of the £15, I've got you the ticket. And I was like, fucking hell, what do we do with this ticket? Because no one would buy it. So I thought, fucking, I'm going to have to go, you know what I mean? So at the time, we were only 15. So we had to make fake ID and all that. So anyway, gets in there. And obviously, that's where I met me Mrs. Sarah that night. So, but what happened was, there was an MC called MC Raw, a white fella, and he was on stage, and he was basically, to me, he was rapping, and that's where it all brought in. And I just stared at him all night, mate. You know what I mean? And that was me sold. So obviously, because Silly and Andy were into DJing, that's when I started MCing. Then didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I was just copying other MCs, doing what they were doing, but I fucking loved it because it was a way of expressing myself. And what I found with MCing was that, like, I was the centre stage, do you know what I mean? All eyes were on me. So obviously growing up, no dad around, my mum was drinking, so I wanted that attention, do you know what I mean? I craved it. So being on stage in front of people, so I wasn't happy just doing the bedroom, and because Andy had a farm and we used to have this block and we used to DJ in there, but I wasn't happy with that. I wanted to be like them in that Pandemonium, Andromeda in the Hard Dock in front of everyone on the stage and all that. So that was my thing. So everywhere I go, I'd be MCing everywhere, doing house parties and all this, and then one of my good friends at the time, Joey Abiaka, introduced me to you. You know what I mean? He was saying,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he was saying, look, you need to get onto this DJ Viper. He's flying. He's actually in the clubs. And I was like, in the clubs? Really? Yeah, clubs. And I was like, okay, sound. Introduce me to him, and that's where I met you.
So that's a funny story in itself, to be fair, because at the time I was working in Crazy George's in Belvale, which, if anyone doesn't know, is like a retail shop that sells stuff to people who can't afford it, basically, and on rental to buy. But I don't want to fucking I don't want to just, I don't think they're even going anymore. They changed names anyway. So the manager found out I was a DJ, and at the time, me being a DJ was playing in like fucking church halls and stuff like that. But I had decks and stuff, so he said, bring your decks in, we're having a sales day. And I'm thinking, he doesn't realise what kind of a fucking DJ I am. Do you know what I mean? He's thinking like fucking love is in the air and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking fucking, you've got a heart of gold. So anyway, I brought my decks into the shop. And that was my job that day, was just to fucking DJ in the shop all day. And I was like throwing in a little bit of techno and a little bit of hardcore and like that. And of course, the fucking word gets round, because it doesn't take long to fucking, And next thing you know, there's a gang of lads off the estate. One of them was Joe Abiaka. And he's standing there. So, of course, I was only about fucking 19, 20 myself at the time. I thought, fucking start showing off me. I start scratching and stuff like that. You know the way you do. Anyway, next thing you know, he's like, my mate's an MC. Oh, yeah, okay. Everyone's fucking mate's an MC, do you know what I mean? And then the first day, I said, well, bring him in. Bring him into the shop. So I'm there in the shop with my shirt and tie on and my fucking floppy bum head, clean shave and all that. In walks this little, like a chunky lad who looks like he wants to fucking smash my head in. I thought, we're not going to get on at all. We are like this fucking opposite ends of the fucking spectrum here. I've got my little floppy hair and all that. You're looking like you're going to rob the fucking sill. And he went, this is John. And he kind of went, you all right? And I thought, this isn't going to work, this at all. So I remember we walked or got the bus back.
We walked, because I had no money. I didn't know what we were doing. So we walked to yours from Belvale. Yeah.
Conversation was probably quite dry, if I'm honest. We didn't really know each other. And we got into ours and I set my decks up and you started emceeing and that was it, mate. We just fucking, I was like, wow, the kid's good, you know what I mean? You know, I was surprised that your voice didn't match your image at all.
No.
And you were good, you know what I mean?
What it was though, Jay, although I was like, you know, basically a bedroom DJ, I was very popular. So when in our area, everyone knew who I was. I was probably like, you know, not famous, but famous in our area.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like everyone knew, because if there was a party, we'd be there. We used to do everything, do you know what I mean? So like there was tapes flying around for years. They still now flying around, do you know what I mean? So anyone who was from like the sort of 90s, they knew we were.
Yeah.
So when we go out, like everyone knew we were. We just weren't in clubs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We weren't like, you know, and that's where you come in then.
Well, it was the perfect time as well, because obviously at that time I'd started doing bits and bobs, and I was working in the aquarium with a lad called Craig, and we decided to put a tape in for the drone. So we recorded a side each. I think I said this on a previous podcast, but we did a side each, and we handed it in, and within 2 or 3 weeks we got a phone call saying, you know, we've got 2 dates for you. I think it was August and September. And that was around the time when I'd first met you. Because I remember saying to you, like, listen, I'm playing in the Dome. And you must have been like, fucking hell. He's not
I'd already put a tape in there. I never heard nothing back, because obviously I knew I was good enough to be on there. But I also knew that, like, Cyanide had a strong hold on there. Yeah. And he wouldn't want anyone like me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I'm, like, quite dominant when I'm on there. And the thing
is, as well, just before I kind of started playing in the Dome, it was only Cyanide. That was it. That was his gaff.
Yeah, it was like there was no room for a number 2 or to someone come in. It was just, that was his gaff. And
that's what made it, I think, the Dome different to the likes of the Dock and stuff like that. Because obviously the Dock, you had MC Raw, you had MC Danny and a few others. But the Dome only had Cyanide. On the odd occasion, they had like Majika.
You know what, right? I'll tell you a funny little story here, right? So the drone, obviously that was Cyanide, and he was bossing it. He fitted it perfect, you know what I mean, at that time. Now the hard dock was MC Raw, but what happened was when it shut, Bev took over. Now I was meant to be working in there, and what happened was I give a fucking tape to them, right? And so Bev was seeing DJ Reflex at the time.
I didn't know that.
Right? Yeah, she was with Reflex, and what it was, Danny was Reflex's mate. So there was a few of them. So you had Mad C, Chris, you know what I mean? They were all mates.
Yeah.
And I passed the fucking tape in, right? And so I used to do all these lyrics that you can and all that, right? Yeah. Fucking Danny wrote my lyrics. And I hope you're listening, you little fucker, because you fucking did. You wrote me fucking lyrics. And the next minute, he got the fucking job working in there. She was fucking like, you need a bit more experience. You know, we're going to give it to Danny. And I was like, fucking hell. You know what I mean?
Mad,
so then that's when, like, they didn't last too long in there anyway, and it's shut, and then we all sort of shifted off to the Dome anyway. Do you know what I mean?
We had a good little session at the Dome, to be fair. I mean, as I said in an earlier podcast, I see me playing at the Dome. It's like Danny Williams beating Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
On paper, he has beat Mike Tyson, but we all know he wouldn't have beat Mike Tyson today. I played the Dome when it was kind of on its way down, but it was still a fucking brilliant place to play. And you know, on your resume, it's still a fucking W in it. You know what I mean?
Well, what it was for us though, the way I look at it, because when we were on there, it was Cinetico was sort of involved with it, weren't they? You know what I mean? It was like where they were doing that thing, and then so it was like you were mixing with like good names, big names, as well as up and comers. And then what had happened was, Cyanide actually left, didn't he? Because he sort of jumped ship to that club on the Dock Road.
Yeah.
And then everyone thought, the Drome's going downhill, but that club went under. And then he started to come back, but it didn't really work then. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because he sort of left, and like he'd lost that like little bit of magic, you know what I mean?
And then, a lot of politics as well, isn't it, with club like it always has been, I suppose.
But it did go downhill, but we sort of caught it at the back end really, and then but it was magic while it lasted. Like,
I mean, the two things that stand out in my mind from when we played in the Drome was the first one was when I decided to dress up as Father Christmas. And I was DJing. I had an album. It was a Scott Brown album, and it was basically probably all Scott Brown fucking tracks basically, and it was all Christmas tracks but happy hardcore versions. I just played about seven or eight tunes off that as Father Christmas, spraying fucking foam or snow on my canister. And the only reason people got onto me because I had these quite distinctive Kappa, fucking God bless me, Kappa fucking trainees on. And obviously people seeing me trainees knew it was me. And of course the other time, remember what I was saying?
Do you remember in the tunnel?
Well, yeah.
Do you remember in the tunnel?
What I remember in the tunnel, I don't know why, but for some reason I was in the front of your car and Sarah was driving, and obviously we were probably under the influence of something. Maybe I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. What was funny because we were sort of under the influence, but it hadn't yet kicked in, and then. This fella pulls alongside and he's doing something to us, isn't he? And then
he was looking at Sarah and he was like fumbling around by his crotch, and I went, look, Sarah, he's having a wank looking at you.
And you started taking the piss out of him. Yeah. He only whips out a fucking badge and it's a fucking busy. You know what I mean? We're all shitting ourselves going, oh my God, what the fuck? We got a big bag of fucking tablets. So we all start necking the tablets in the car. By the time we get to the fucking club, we're all off our faces. Starting to fucking DJ and MC while we fucking got it. Was fun. That was a night. You know what I mean?
That was funny, that. I just remember saying to Sarah, look, he's having a wank looking at you. And she started looking over, like driving, like, what's this fella doing next to me? He's fumbling around by his crotch. Next thing he pulls this badge up and we all went, shit.
The times in there. So I mean, I remember when it got raided.
That was the time I mentioned.
It got raided, police everywhere, and I think someone, I don't know who, threw a little bag of Charlie under the DJ thing. And I remember Big Al coming out going, they found this.
Yeah, under the decks.
You know what I mean?
I remember another DJ we were at the time as well. Again, I won't mention his name. And we were, because he kept us all in, didn't he?
Yeah. Paper Lackey outside. Paper was outside.
They threw everybody out and they kept all the artists inside. And I remember we were stood like kind of before you get, because you used to walk in the Drome and you could go left to the chill out room or right to the main area, couldn't you? We were kind of stood there like kind of opposite where you come in, and obviously the police were interviewing us all and stuff like that. And this DJ, he'll remain nameless, but I think you know what it is. he had a name that kind of sums him up, but we'll discuss that off camera. And he turned around and looked at me, and he opened his mouth, and he put his tongue out, and there must have been about fucking 10 crust tablets on it. He just threw them all in his mouth and started chewing them before we got nicked. Unbelievable. So after the Drome, we started something like called Masters of Bounce, didn't we?
Yeah.
Bounce is like a genre of music now, but back then, like if you remember, I was DJ Viper, the bounce master. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's you know.
Do you know what's mad, right? Because I still say things like the original bounce masters. You know what I mean? And everyone's like, it's not bounce.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
bounce,
you know
bounce is like a hybrid of like hard house and scouse. But back then it was all different, wasn't it? It's weird, isn't it? So we did Masters of Bounce, and I always remember we were in there, and this lad come up the stairs because the Masters of Bounce was in the aquarium. And the decks were like up a flight of stairs, weren't they? It was like, they set up like a volcano or something, wasn't it? Like the setup looked like a volcano. Yeah. So I'm on the decks.
Nice little setup though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was nice. So I'm DJing, this lad comes up the stairs to my left, and he's like,
I thought he was full of shit.
And I was like, what's that, mate? He's coming over and anybody. I said, you're gonna have to slow down, mate. I can't understand what you're saying, because he was, again, quite intoxicated, shall we say. And he was Irish, which didn't help, so it was like a double whammy. Anyway, so he said, do you want to come over to Northern Ireland and play? I was like, yeah, of course, yeah. You know, typical fucking Saturday night chatter, you know, you're here all the time. So I gave him my number, which at the time was a pager, wasn't even a phone. And I'll never forget, I was in work one day, I get this message, contact Sean on this number. Who the fuck's Sean? I fucking couldn't think who it was for the life of me. So phones, I think I walked over the phone box with you, because again, no one had mobile phones then. I didn't have a house phone or nothing. So he walks over this payphone and I puts me little 20p in and all that. Is there any Viper? Who's that? It's Sean. Again, I'd drawn a blank. Sean from the aquarium. I went, oh yeah, Sam, you're okay, mate? And he basically, I'm not going to carry on and some people doing the accent like, but he basically turned around and said, we can bring it over to Northern Ireland. I can't pay yous, but I can pay for 3 or 4 of yous to come over, and you can stay in, man, and you can play in Northern Ireland. And we were like, wow, like we've made it. This is it. We're international DJs now. And there was a few funny stories from that, because obviously we the 2 stories that stand out in my mind was we got there. Sorry, we were late. We were late getting back, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we were running past all the cars with I had record boxes, you had your mic and all that. And we were running past all these cars, and we missed the boat, didn't we? And we were fucking fuming, and we were all thinking the same thing. Fucking birds are gonna kill us. Birds are gonna kill us. But the worst part about that was, because we were early for the next CCAT, all our stuff went on first. So of course, all our stuff came off last. If I remember rightly, Mick Powney, DJ Reckless, his box was literally the last thing to come off the fucking boat.
Was, yeah.
Fucking hell. Good times though. So yeah, so obviously you mentioned Silly Z before. How did you actually meet Silly?
So me and Silly, right? We actually started skateboarding together.
No way.
Honest to God, when we were like 11, we all used to skateboard. So around 10, 11, we all used to skateboard. We used to go down this place called the Liverpool Estate, and that's where everyone was from. So you had like Jay Welsh, he was like boss on the skateboard, and Speke and all that. They were all like, we used to go down there skateboarding, and me and Silly actually fucking hated each other, because it was like we were like sort of similar people, do you know what I mean? So it was like fighting to be popular. So me and Silly actually had a fight, you know what I mean? A fucking big fight. Now Silly's older than me, and he was quite hard. He could have a go back in the day when he was
a little tree trunk, isn't he?
So we had me and Silly had a full on fucking fight. We must have been fighting for about an hour. And like obviously I was a bit bigger than him, do you know what I mean? And I was Andy in my year. So like we ended up fighting for about an hour. And I was just fucking throwing him through fucking people's gardens and fucking smashing them up. We kept coming back, and then in the end we ended up walking home best of mates. And then from that day we were just always fucking mates. And then obviously he was into music. He used to play guitar. He got into DJing. And in school, because I was naughty, instead of like suspending me, they put me on.
You were
on
naughty in school? You do fucking surprise me, John.
I got suspended 9 times, expelled, fucking all sorts. But what they done to keep me interested, they had me and a lad called Eddie Chat, and they kept us behind, and we had to learn music. So we learned how to like play instruments in the orchestra. So I was into like the drums, timpanis, you know, anything to do with percussion.
Yeah.
So I always liked that like sort of beat, you know what I mean? And then obviously because I like rap music, so Eddie would do a little beat, I'd write a little rap and stuff like that. So that's where the hardcore music come in, especially when I seen a white fella doing it, because you know a lot of the scene in music, rappers tend to be black. Do you know what I mean?
It's no different now. I mean, let's be honest. With the exception of fucking Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly, you know, if most people name 10 rappers,
do you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? 9 or 10 are going to be black.
Even back then, you had like the odd one, like Vanilla Ice, but he was too cheesy. He was too, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was like so.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah, you know, and the stuff what they stood for as well, like, you know, standing up to police and all that, and the crime and the racism and all that. I was fucking into all that, mate. You know what I mean? I loved all that, like, you know me, I go straight for your fucking throat, you know what I mean? So I love that like way of expressing yourself. So, and I found the same inviting later on, you know what I mean? So that for me, the music side of it was where I got like, people were all looking at me, I got that attention, I could feel the crowd, it was boss, you know what I mean? And then, you know, some of the things what we done, you know, some of the events what have been on, you know, I think like probably one of the biggest ones I done in Southport in front of like 2,000 people, do you know what I mean? And like that's probably like that was a big event, that, do you know what I mean? Yeah. The Floor Law, I think that was. And I've done loads of that, you know what I mean? Like Best of the Northwest and all that, you know what I mean? It was like near the back end, but it was like sort of a good thing, because I like, for that little short period, like, you know what I mean? When I was on the ball, I was like, I was pretty unstoppable, to be honest, you know what I mean?
Do you remember your first gig? Or the first time you actually MC'd in front of like people, as opposed to just
I'd probably say a proper club, really. Probably the Drone.
Really,
you know what I mean? Yeah, because there was, I done clubs, but they weren't like clubs. They were all like social clubs and stuff, you know what I mean? And like, you know, like we done a few, you know what I mean? In like Old Swan and stuff like that, but they were just like sort of social clubs that, because the dock was shut, they opened them, do you know what I mean? And like, they weren't actually, you know, proper full on clubs, I'd say to Jerome.
Yeah, I mean, fucking hell, if that was your first time on a proper stage, mate, I wouldn't. I mean, to this day, I didn't know.
That's what I mean, because we were so experienced in like being around. So when I'd sort of grabbed the mic in different clubs, like I'd been in the Hard Dock, but I wasn't on there. I wasn't on the flyer. I wasn't paid. You know what I mean? It was just like, I'll have a little go. So I got like experience and stuff, and I sort of knew. But it was like back then, it was like, if you grabbed that mic, like, you fucking rocked it, mate, because that was your only time to fucking shine, you know what I mean? And then you'd be fucking buzzing then, do you know what I mean?
Remember the time we went to Hysteria?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Hysteria was a big one. Hysteria was a big one, man. You blagged me, got me on the main stage.
So the story for that, if anyone who's listening, is we went to Hysteria as punters. We bought our tickets and got on a minibus or a coach or whatever. And I've always been a bit of a fucking blagger with stuff like that. Right? So I said, I can get you on the main stage here. I thought, so Hysteria was in like a sports hall, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It
was in was it Chester, is it? Or
I think it was Chester, yeah, and it was just basically a sports hall, and this guy ran it, and it was big names, wasn't it? It had really big names on it.
I was actually on. I got on a set with DJ Clarkey. I was actually on that set. You were in the other room, weren't you?
So neither of us were meant to be on, but we turned up. This is what happened. So we turned up, and I noticed that there was a fella guarding the door to the main stage who looked like he didn't really know what he was doing. So I kind of went over and put my telephone voice on. I was like, hi mate, I said, listen, I'm representing a couple of the artists and they need to get access to the main stage, so if you just let this guy through for me. And he went, yeah, and he let you on. Next thing, we ran in the doors, you're on the fucking main stage MC, and I was like, yeah.
I think it was Vibes was on.
Yeah.
Actually, it was on with Vibes, yeah.
And on the same night, I don't know how it worked out, but I ended up fucking scratching over someone's fucking set. And MCing in the techno room.
Yeah, that's right. Cause it was I remember being on with Clarkey and you were on in another room, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
We just were like Conor McGregor. We didn't come to take part.
Oh, mate. I actually remember we were driving up there and Silly was off his fucking cake in the outside lane doing 40 mile an hour, and people were beeping him because he was in the wrong fucking lane, and we were all going, what's he beeping at? We're like, Gary, you need to move over, lad, you know what I mean? You're driving like 40 mile an hour. Everyone's like up his ass, you know what I mean? It was fucking crazy, lad.
So we had all that going on, and it just kind of like, it's kind of sizzled out and died a little death, and me and you kind of went our separate ways. We didn't fall out, we just kind of went different ways, and then madness one day, I'm sitting there on a platform called MySpace. This is obviously before, if anyone's listening to this who's under 30, don't remember, but before Facebook there was MySpace, and you had the page and stuff like that, and I was scrolling, I had my little page up and I wasn't really doing much, and I think I'd got back into DJing, but I was playing like hard house and hard trance, and I'm scrolling through and I see this Jon Edge, and I thought, fucking hell, it can't be the Jon Edge I know, because I looked at the pictures, this fucking guy, fucking bulging muscles, all shiny, with a fucking a gold belt round his waist, and I clicked on the picture and I went, fucking hell, it's Jon. I couldn't believe it. So obviously, I mean, I remember me and you were still kind of hanging around together. We went to like a kickboxing class or two,
right,
and I always remember that you were quite handy anyway. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and we were sparring with these lads, and this lad was fucking knocking fuck out of me. Yeah. And he went, yeah, we'll swap partners. Yeah, you fucking leathered the lad, like. So obviously, that was that you were doing it more as a recreational thing. So what was the transition between doing it on a once or twice a week to becoming basically a fucking, a champion?
So what happened was, so I was 18, and I was going to be a dad. You know what I mean? Sarah was pregnant when we were working in a drone and stuff like that. And obviously back then I was taking a lot of drugs, and you know what I mean? I was getting up to no good. So I thought, I need to sort my head out here. So I started training, and I thought, I'm good at this. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I was pretty handy. So what I done, I thought, right, I'll change the fucking thing, yeah. Because people were saying to me, you need to take this serious, you need to have a go, you're good. So after 3 months of training, I started fighting. And I done really well, do you know what I mean? And then it just progressed into like this fucking big long fucking 13-year career, you know what I mean? And then, so obviously when I was with you, I was kickboxing for Ray Miller. And then after that, one of the best fella in our club got beat by a kid from Carbon. And that was it, then I was sold. I went to Carbon, because Carbon was like, it was a club by ours. But the fella that actually ran it, his top student was, I actually played football with him. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I can't believe he's the best fighter in that club.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't like that when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I went there and he fucking battered me. And I was like, I was hooked. And that was it then. And so the reason why, like, I won't go madly into it, but what I found with MCing, I transferred over to fighting because it was the centre of attention.
Yeah.
I loved that like feeling of like all eyes on me.
Yeah.
And like I could go out and perform. So it was exactly the same buzz I got from MCing, I got from fighting.
Yeah.
It was like for that all what I missed as a child, I got from entertaining as an MC and entertaining as a fighter. That was it in a nutshell. And like the thing with the fighting, it took me away from negative elements of like, you know, all the stuff I was getting up to.
Yeah.
What comes with like the rave scene, it was too easy for the drugs for me, and because I was so easily led, boom, I was straight on it, you know what I mean? So that was why I took myself away from it and got into the fighting. Yeah. But then obviously I ended up, because in there, once you going out after the fight, that's when the drugs come back into it, you know what I mean? That's so it was like a vicious cycle really, do you know what I mean?
It's weird because obviously there's a lot of people who are kind of, I mean, I hate to use a cliche, but casualties of the rave, you know, there's people out there. I when I went to, I was lucky enough to get booked to playing Back to the Dock, the 4th anniversary, which was last September, I think it was, after a couple of postponements because of COVID, and I couldn't believe, like, it's you see people out there and you think, I was looking at people thinking, you haven't stopped since the 90s, have you?
Yeah.
You know, that's their life, and you know, God bless them, they love it and stuff like that, but it's not good for you, you know, it really isn't. You've got to have it, you took the healthier route, and you're just kind of peeking back in, so...
Do you know what it is, Jay, right? So talking about to the Dock, right? So Lee's a good friend of mine. Now, when I met Lee, I was putting on a camp for fighters, a free camp, and basically just helping people. So anyone who had problems, drug problems, anything like that, I put on a free camp and exercise for less, and I put it out there. And Lee turned up. Now I didn't actually know Lee, but we just hit it off. And what happened was, when we were walking out, he actually told me a story. And I was like, wow. And then when he told me, he was like, yeah, like the hard dock. And I was like, the hard dock? I was like, now, this is another thing, right? No one knows I used to MC. No one in my fighting career knew that I used to MC. I just didn't say about it. It wasn't something that ever come up. It wasn't something that I ever talked about. So all my friends who know me from like sort of 2000 plus, they know you
as a fighter, not an MC.
No one knows that I done that from like a teenager. So like, only now these past, so with Lee, what happened was we were talking about it and he was saying about doing an event and I said, you know what, I wouldn't mind, like, you know, thing you, and I told Lee and he went, oh wait, you were an MC? And I went, yeah. I said, you're the first person I've ever told. And like, so then we just hit it off then on another level, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't nothing to do with the fight and it was all about the music. And then Lee was telling me about doing these events and then he went off and done them with Chris and then he was doing like his own thing and then he invited me to go down to one. And when I went back, it was like, fucking hell, all the feelings that I had from like the 90s, I was like, wow, I went with Silly, and it was like, fucking hell, I can't believe it.
The atmosphere's still there, it really is,
like,
isn't it?
It was all there for me. So what happened was, Lee said, do you want an MC again? And I was like, oh, because what happened as well, right, so I was in a party, this was like, probably around 2003 or something like that. I was in a party, and someone recognised me. In this party, I was in a house party, and someone went, "You're the Edge MC," and I went, "Whoa, fucking shut up, lad!" I said, "No one knows nothing like that."
You blown me cover.
Like, shut up, and he went, "Lad, he's a fucking boss MC, and he used to take the roof off the place." It was that fella who had the record shop. Remember in town?
Conan Hogan.
Conan, right? It was Conan.
Plastic Records.
He went. That he's a boss MC, and I was like, "Lads, keep it down, lads." You know what I mean? Anyway, he went, "Give me your number." He said, we do these events in the Northgate Arena, you know, where they do a stadium.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, whatever. He went, can you still MC? So I was off my head and fucking, someone was on the deck, so I fucking had a little blast off my head, as you do.
Yeah.
And I still had it, you know what I mean? But what happened was, he got in touch with me, and he was like, look, I'm serious, pay you good fucking money, Jay, the money was boss, you know what I mean? Yeah. But what happened was, because I hadn't done it for years in a club, I mean years, I was fucking shitting myself. So he's like, yo man, the gig's on, the DJs are going to come and pick you up and all that. And I was like, okay, Sam. So I ran up the offie at the top of the road, grabbed 4 cans of Foster's, fucking necked them, right? Fucking, I'm sitting there going, oh my God. They picked me up, they go, oh yeah, we're going to smash it, man, and all this. And they're all talking, they're groovy and all this. And I'm thinking like, yeah, okay, yeah. Next minute, goes there, proper professional, photo ID, the lot, you know what I mean? Proper, the fucking queue was down the fucking road. It was one of the kids' events. The Couture was down the fucking road, mate. There was fucking limos and everything there for all these kids. It must have been like a fucking, I don't know, like a prom thing, I don't know, but it was fucking shocking, mate. I remember my legs shaking and walking past them and going, there's the DJs, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you know what I mean? It's fucking real. So what happened was, goes in there, and they're like, yeah, just go and test the mic out. Yeah, no worry, I'm tired of that cool and all that. I'm shitting me fucking knickers, mate. Goes in there. I goes upstairs. I had the pint, they had a bar upstairs. I'm having a pint thinking, what the fuck am I doing here, lad? And I remember phoning me, mate. And I said, lad, I can't do this. I can't do it, lad. I said, my ass is gone, know what I mean? And he was like, lad, just go and fucking do it. You do it all the time when, like, you know, you're partying. And I said, yeah, but I'm not partying, lad. I'm fucking shitting myself. And I remember they shouted me, Edge MC to the stage, Edge MC. And the fucking bar person's going, I've got a thing on. They're calling you. Nah, they're not. They go, no. You see me badge, you know what I mean? They go, no, they're calling you. It's all right. They can wait as if I'm some superstar. It's all right. They're all right. They can wait, mate. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, I can't do this. Anyway, I walk down there, and they had the big long curtain, and I can see the DJ, and he's putting the mic up and all that, and I think, oh my God, you know what I mean? Shit. So anyway, gets on, made a few stumbles, and it was like a big long stage. It was like a T-shaped stage. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? With all the railings. And when I looked down it, mate, the fucking kids were screaming, and I was like, shit. So I started MCing, and I'm a bit out of time and a bit out of sync, and then I just seen them loving it, and I went, fuck it, and I fucking rocked it, and I fucking flew down the stage. Next minute, I started grabbing all the kids on the stage. They were fucking raving with me and all that. They fucking loved it. Next minute, he was like calling me back. They were going, we want you on every month. We want you back, because it was once a month, this thing. And I was the resident for them, and we were going back and we were smashing it. And then that fizzled out, because what the fella done, he bought a club over the water. And he wanted me to go on there, but it didn't last. I think something happened, I don't know. Yeah. But we only went up a couple of times, and then that's it. I never MC'd again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until like, so that was like, that was years ago. It was like 2003 or something, do you know what I mean? And then, so obviously with Lee, that was back in 2018, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I done a few for him, and then obviously we had COVID, do you know what I mean? But then I actually started helping him, co-promote them, do you know what I mean? So, putting my 2 pence in, because that's what I wanted to do, was have more of a, you know, like an input on, like, you know, what types of PAs, the ones that I liked, do you know what I mean? The old school stuff, do you know what I mean? So, and even like with Lee actually taught himself how to DJ, because he couldn't DJ, he was just like sort of promoter. But even then, when he was DJing, I'd like sort of tell him what like sort of stuff I liked, so then he started DJing to how
to cater for you.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it was like sort of we got a good little fucking thing, but it's been recently. I've sort of took a step away from it, because like obviously I've got a new gym opening and I've just gone into like a more of a lifestyle where like I'm staying away from drinking that, you know what I mean? And not that I drink too much when I go to them, but it's just having that little thing where I'll be at the next one. I'll be at there's one on the weekend. I'll be there. And then he's got another one, I think, is it June or something?
2nd of July.
July. I'll be there. But the last couple I haven't been to, do you know what I mean? And that's just for myself, my own like mental health, you know what I mean? I just want to just have a break, do you know what I mean? Because it feels like they're all the time. And when you're involved in promoting, you're not just do your own events, you get invited to other people's events, and it feels like they're every week, mate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't be doing that. I've got a young baby. I've got like a gym. I've got 2 gyms. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm not with the amateur boxing club, I'm with my own gym. If I'm not with my own gym, I'm with my son and my family. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, the last thing you want to be doing is going there, and if you have a little slip up and that, you've got, you know, with the kids the next day and all that.
Well, the thing, even if you don't have a little slip up, to be fair, I mean, I was
the late nights, aren't they?
I was working the weekend in Birkenhead, and my last set finished at 3 o'clock.
Do you know what I mean?
So I had to drop my mate off in West Derby, and then I had to drop Jenny's mate off in Speke. So by the time me and Jenny got back in the house, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. And now I'm stone cold sober, by the way. I'm driving, do you know what I mean? So it is hard, like.
Well, what I found was hard, Jay. See, it's not like, when I say like have a slip up, it's not like a slip up where you go, oh, you know, I can't say no to drugs. It's like when you're around that environment all night, it gets that way. You think, oh, just have something to pass the night.
Exactly.
Because it just drags on. And like, we're there. If that night starts at 8 o'clock, we're there from 7:30.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And being a promoter, you can't just turn up when you want and get off when you want. You've got to get it before everyone gets there. You've got to stay to the very, very end.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then after that, they're all staying up again. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do it. Do you know
that's the thing. And I had this conversation today. I'm seeing the scene from fresh eyes now. Obviously, back in the 90s, we were ravers predominantly, first and foremost, and we were just lucky enough to get some gigs out of it. Now, I just try out to my gigs. Yeah. I generally turn up an hour before, say a few hellos, get a few pictures, play me set, hang around for half an hour, and I'm on my way home. Do you know what I mean?
It's hard though, innit? Because when what I find as well, like, it can bring on anxiety as well, because like, you get people when you're walking up to the club, if you're stone cold sober, people are outside, they're off the cakes, they jump at you. Oh, there's the MC, and he starts hugging you, and it's a bit like, people fucking jumping up on the stage to me and all that, you know what I mean, and trying to grab me and stuff like that, or like, you're walking and girls feeling your ass and grabbing you, and it's like, fucking hell, you know what I mean? When you've had a bevy, you're not ass, you can just brush it off, but when you're stone cold sober, it's a bit like, it's a bit much, you know what I mean? I had a funny one this weekend, because obviously I've been with Jenny for 10 years, and it was the first gig of mine she'd ever been to, and I was nervous. No, it is.
It was really weird. Like, I've been fucking back DJing now for like 6 months, but I've been DJing on and off for fucking 25 years. I shouldn't have been nervous, but I was nervous because Jenny was there. I felt like this is the first time she's seen me play live, and it was fucking weird. It's like when you have your school performance and your mum and dad are there, fucking I'm shitting myself.
Mad, innit?
This is an urgent appeal. Are you a DJ, MC, music producer, or even an events promoter? If you have a story to tell about your journey in the dance music scene, then please get in touch by emailing couture303@outlook.com. Your story could help hundreds of people walking the dog, commuting to work, training in the gym, or even doing a shift in work. So please share your stories and help relieve the boredom for life of those who survived the 90s. That email address again, couture303@outlook.com. Thank you. So as we alluded to before, you are the subject of a documentary, The Fighting Demons, which is something I personally have been looking forward to seeing for a long time. Matthew Edge, who's been doing the editing and recording, and he does it all himself. And I tell you what, I've seen the trailers and the previews. I mean, it's broadcast quality. It's really fucking well done. I mean, I knew it was going to be good anyway, and obviously because it's someone who I know and I've got a relationship with anyway, I've got a vested interest. But when I seen the trailers for it, I literally, and I'm not just fucking blowing smoke up your or his ass, I was fucking blown away, mate. It looked fucking tremendous. It really does.
He's good at what he does. I mean, basically, The Fighting Demons, without going on too much, it's basically my life, like growing up with him in a broken home with, like, no dad around, and when he was around, he wasn't the best, and my mum with a drinking problem. I've always looked at it as an escape. So MCing, taking drugs, and then fighting, taking drugs. Do you know what I mean? It was all like, I've always been fighting demons. And so that was what my brother said. So obviously I had a breakdown in 2009. I had to fucking kill myself. And then when I got through that breakdown, when I finally got back into training, I actually come full circle again. Do you know what I mean? So I found myself, and when I was fighting for the title, which I should have been fighting for when I was 21, and now I'm 31. All the highs and lows I've been through. I said to my brother, I wouldn't mind. See, when I was saying about filming it, at first it was for my ego. Yeah, I wanted to show people that I fucking come back, I'll fucking beat this. I can show people how fucking hard I am. I'll show people I've fucking done this. Do you know what I mean? And then, but it was all for me. Yeah, I just wanted to have a little bit of history, say, yeah, I fucking won that, done that.
This is where your Matty's seen the bigger picture, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he went, yeah, you've always been fighting demons, you've always been doing this, all the stuff what I've been through all my life, I've always had that in my head, these fucking demons. So, he basically, when he filmed it, when he done a couple of promos, what happened was, he released the promos on YouTube and Facebook, and it was Facebook where they actually, I got loads of feedback, and what happened was people were messaging me going, fucking hell, I'm glad you fucking spoke out, I've been suffering with problems, I've been doing this, blah, blah, blah. And I went, whoa, wait there a minute, this is about me, not you, you know what I mean? No, what about me?
But people relate to it,
right? And then this is where I went, wow, wait there a minute, this is fucking helping people. This is like, so this took us on a whole different fucking journey now, because I was just basically saying about me. It was my life,
a promo video
story,
for you.
Do you know what I mean? And then, and when people were relating to it, it completely took me by surprise. And I went, wow, this is bigger than you, lad. This is not your ego.
I can
this
help
is
other
like,
people now.
This is what it was totally about. I never done it for that, Jake. It never started.
At least you're honest in saying that, though.
It was just for me. It was just basically to say, when people were saying, you know, what did you do? I done that, because back in the 90s, like, there was no fucking filming and all this, and there was no social media and stuff, so it was just a way of me cementing myself saying, I done this, I'm Big Jon Edge, you know what I mean? And like, but then when that it's over, I was like, wow, it totally took me on an all different plane. It took me on an all different fucking, because that's when I started helping people then. I started training people for free. I started doing stuff to counselling people. I started getting people into training and then into fighting, and then just helping people in general. And it all come off them promos, you know what I mean?
It's mad how things work out organically. But I think a lot of people don't understand it. If you look after yourself physically, it's easy to look after yourself mentally. You know, and sometimes the endorphin rush you get from going on a run or hitting a PB or going to the gym or putting a good session in, the rush you get off that, it's as good as any drug. It really is. I mean, even like recently, me missus went to went up Mulvama on a Sunday afternoon. When you get to the top, and it's only Mulvama, it's nothing fucking special, but you feel great. You know, it's a real, you get a genuine, real rush off that. You know, better than anything else. So, you know, you've got your own podcast yourself, haven't you?
Well, that's another thing. It's like all this stuff. So I've got Halewood ABC, which is an amateur boxing club. I've got Cinetico Fitness, which is a gym where we do boxing-based fitness classes. We've got PTs working there. We do all sorts in there. And then we've actually started a Fighting Demons podcast to give other people a platform to tell their stories. Do you know what I mean? Just like ours. And it's mad because all this started with the Fighting Demons documentary, which isn't even out yet. And it all just basically come off the promos that we released. So it's like all this stuff since like sort of 2012 has just took me on this fucking big mad fucking journey. It's
like I say, things just work out organically, don't they? But I mean, I'm looking forward to the documentary immensely. Like I say, obviously because I know you. It's everyone likes the underdog story. Everyone likes the comeback story. Everyone likes, you know, to see someone who's. And I know it sounds terrible. People like to see people low and rise back up.
Yeah.
There's something about that, you know. It's like a success story, if you like.
I think what it was with mine, Jay, was because I went into fighting as like a well-known figure in our circles in Liverpool. I was well known as having a go, you know what I mean? I could have a go with anyone. And then to see me sort of get up there and then have such a big fucking fall, you know what I mean? And then come back, humble myself, and then climb the ladder back in and get back in again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There was just something there that I thought, you know, people could look at it and just go, fucking hell, you know what I mean? If he can do it, I can fucking do it, you know what I mean?
So essentially, if we go back to the 90s, you were the first Eminem, right? Yeah. And now you were the Tyson Fury before Tyson Fury.
Well, you know what, right? It's mad, you know, because with all this stuff coming up now, with like the likes of, I mentioned this on another podcast. I felt robbed because this documentary took so long. There's people who actually spoke to me in depth about what we were doing, and then sort of kept that like sort of narrative, but like changed bits to suit theirs. And then we're getting in touch with the Liverpool Echo and then putting big stories out, and I was like, fucking hell, he's been fucking thing on me. And I'm not talking like, you know people that were just into fighting, all different types of people from different walks of life, do you know what I mean? To just use my story but just change bits in it, you know what I mean? And then obviously you had the likes of Tyson Fury, like, and you know, his come out, you know, obviously with his, it's like, because they're big and famous. Mine was just like a local kid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just someone who's from Liverpool. Yeah. You know what I mean? He was known locally in Liverpool.
It still carries the same weight, but like you say, it's on a bigger platform when you're the heavyweight champion of the world, isn't it? You know?
and that's what when we were talking about it, me and our Matty, that was one of the things where, like, because our Matty said, he went, well, I don't know whether like it'll go on such a thing because, you know, you're not like a world champion. And I was like, I think that's what's more appealing though, because I think that's why
people can relate to it. Not everyone's going to be the heavyweight champion of the world, but anyone can, in a sense, do what you've done, you know, and get back in there.
And I think that's why people gravitate towards me, and I get that many messages of people because I'm just I live here. Do you know what I mean? I'm the same. I have nothing that's changed about me. Do you know what I mean? So people can contact me and come and see me anywhere, anytime. I get people coming up to me all the time in garages, you know, everywhere. It's mad because I've helped that many people, and I see that many people that, like, it was like the other day, I think in one day I seen 5 people, you know what I mean, the Asda, the garage, it was all, you know, like all in passion, and they were all saying, I need to get back on here, I've been going down, and it's like, I see that many people, I can literally say to them, are you drinking? Are you taking weed? Are you snorting? Are you doing this? And I can literally, I've got a tick list. And it's just like, if it's one of them, you know what I mean? That's what you need to do. When you sort that, come and see me and I'll help you out, you know what I mean? Because it's got to the point where, like, I can't do it no more, you know what I mean? Because I've done it to that many people.
So I was listening to a podcast recently. I think it's a little shout out. I think it's called the Leggett podcast. And they had Lee Butler on. And Lee Butler was talking about his, obviously, he had addiction problems. He was bad on the cocaine and stuff like that. And he said he got to a point where he was waking up to like 10, 15 messages a day. Yeah. He said, and obviously, if I respond to one of their messages, that then opens a line of conversation. It's not just like I respond and that's it. He said, so you've got like 10 new conversations every day. And he said it got to the point where it was like, it was overwhelming. He said, I couldn't keep up with it. You can't fix everybody, can you?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But without being fucking nasty or big-headed or anything like that, that's it on the head, you know what I mean? Because I started being a little bit funny with people over it, you know what I mean? Because when they're coming up to me, they go, oh, and I'm thinking like, fucking hell, I'm not this fucking shoulder that, you know what I mean? I've got fucking problems, you know what
exactly,
I mean?
Exactly,
What I found as well, Jay, when I was helping people, say I put like 3 months into this person, where I'm seeing them every day, I'm training them, I'm messaging them, I'm constantly there supporting them. When they go off, a month or two later, boom, it's back again. They're down again. You've got to do it again. You know what I mean?
And you feel like you've wasted that time, then, of course, yeah.
But that's happened for years. So now it's come to the point where, like, I'll go, look, I'll tell you what to do, and then you got to do it. And then when you've done it, you come and see me, and then we'll build on that. Do you know what I mean? But like, it just got to a point where, like, I felt I'm being a bit cold. Because I was always there supporting them, and I'm like, you know, I've got a family myself. I've got my own kids, you know what I mean? And I'm like, so it's like I have got to like sort of take a step back a bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the $1 million question is, when can we expect to see the documentary?
Well, we've got another film guy involved. So he's been helping us film because we've done a brand story, and he's helping our Matty out with the editing stuff. Because what another reason why it took so long is because when we filmed the documentary, it was meant to stop after I won the fight. So they filmed me for 3 months, or 4 months, and then we done more filming after it. But what happened was, I went to Thailand after my fight, and then when I come back, we were like sort of wrapping it up. But then I got involved with the pro boxers, with the likes of Robbie Davis, Ryan Mulcahy, Steve Brogan, Luke Willis, Tom Farrell, and there was a few. There was a couple of kids from Wales as well, pro boxers, and I got involved in that. So I Matty filmed that because that was a continuation. I was like, oh, look what you're doing here. And then we done this Fighting Demons white collar charity event, which was massive. We all had the white Fighting Demons boxing kits, the lot. He filmed all that, so we documented all that, and then I left the pros, opened ale with ABC. So that was another thing that continued off the Fighting Demons. So
everything's another chapter, isn't it?
You know what I mean? And then it's like, and then I started training Charlotte. You know what I mean? And then there's just a big massive thing that's just gone on and on and on and on and on. Yeah. But like every time we go to close the door to it, something else happens. So it's like
it's hard to put a cap on it because you're still living. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where we said, look, that's it now. You know what I mean? We've just got to like sort of thing you, because obviously when you're filming stuff, you get that much footage and that much stuff. It's hard,
of course.
You know what I mean? And then because of the time as well, it's got to be like sort of to present day. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not like where the times have changed. We started filming in 2012. So that was 2022. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So 10 years there. Do you know what I mean? So it's like even when we were talking about stuff, it's mad because when we started filming, I never spoke to my mum or my dad. You know what I mean? So I never had a relationship with either of them. Now we speak. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
So they're going to get introduced halfway through, yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's a bit weird because obviously I'm talking about a relationship we had back then.
Yeah.
And the relationship's different now. So it's like at the time...
It's going to be a tough watch for them as well, of course, yeah.
Of course, and I said this, but as I said, you know, I feel I threw them under the bus in a way. Not that I said anything I wouldn't say now.
If it was true, it's true at the end of the day.
Do you know what I mean? Course, so that's my truth, do you know what I mean? So it is what it is, but it's just weird because obviously that was in 2012. I think it was 2015 or 16. I got a phone call saying my mum was dying in hospital.
Yeah.
So I went up there and seen her, and I hadn't spoken to her for years. Do you know what I mean? And she basically wrote, because she couldn't talk, you know what I mean? Oh, I love you and all this. And I just said, look, if you make it out of this, that's always couldn't drink again. And I said, if you make it out of this and you don't drink, I'll be in your life, you know what I mean? And since then I have been, and I moved into another house, and I see her all the time, you know what I mean? So, and then I've started speaking to my dad again, do you know what I mean? Which, we're not close or anything, do you know what I mean? I'm not like close to them, but we get on well now, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's better than not.
Yeah.
And it's also good for your kids as well.
Of course, I mean, they love the babies. That's what I mean. It's weird because the relationship I had with my mum and dad, it's totally different for them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're old now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not the people that, like, you know...
People are always better nan and granddad than they ever be mum and dad. That's a fact, that. So going back to the musical side of things, is there any gigs or any club stories, anything like that? And you want to, you know, any good memories, big gigs, funny gigs, anything like that?
You know what? I've got loads, you know what I mean? Loads. Remember, like, fucking fighting with MCs and everything. Do you know what I mean? I remember we worked on Uprising, and you were above me.
That's
on
right,
the stage, and they passed the mic through the floor, and their resident MCs, I think it might have been like that fucking Nats and a few others. There was a couple of black kids and a white. There was like 3 MCs, and you could hardly see them because it was quite dark. And
racist, that, John.
You know what I mean? No, you know, like, you couldn't see because it
was a weird setup, that,
because where the MCs were, they were facing the camera. It was like a little room underneath the stage.
Really weird setup, yeah.
And like, so they passed me the mic and I started MCing, and then these MCs just come out of nowhere and just started like grabbing a mic off me, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then like, but it was weird because when you were MCing, you weren't really MCing to a crowd. It was just like a little hole. Yeah. And then like, you could see the crowd because you were above, so the DJ could see it, but the actual MC couldn't. And then in the end, I went to the fucking promoter and I said, what the fuck's going on here, mate? I said, we've come down here, I'm only on for a set, you know what I mean? The fucking and he went, oh, you know what it's like, it's their club and all that. And I went, their club? I said, listen, lad, I'll just fucking leave it, lad, it's sound. Do you know what I mean? So I remember, like, fucking, I think he gave me 50 quid or something, and I fucking just sat off. I think we went with Silly, didn't we? So you were Silly.
I played there, so I think there was Uprising, then there was Revolution, and the funny story with that is, I got booked to play Uprising, and you had to go up a fucking ladder with your record box. This is like fucking 1998 or something, when, you know, you had an actual fucking record box, a heavy record box up this ladder. And yeah, you were like underneath me. I was up high.
Because it was just like a little dark, like you couldn't really see anything. Do you know what I mean? That's why I remember these. I think there was 3 of them, and they were like, you could just see hands coming to try and grab the mic off me, and I was like, oh, it was fucking horrible.
Yeah, that's the side of MCing I don't like. This like, it's almost like fucking smackheads around the fucking fix, and they're all snatching for the mic, and it just gets repetitive. But the thing I remember about Uprising, the volume of the monitor speakers was something I've never experienced. I remember being up there in the DJ box, and my cheeks were wobbling. Yeah, that's how loud the monitors were. And the funny story with that was, on that night when we all went, I seen a flyer, and Sharky was on. Now obviously Sharky's from like the West Country, he doesn't really come up north that much. So we get home, and I at this point they've moved to Revolution. It was like a bit of a spin-off thing, and I phoned the promoter. I think it was Paul O or Kenny Sharp, one of the two. And I phoned him and I said, I've just seen a flyer there. I said, and you've got Sharky on in May, and it's my birthday in May. Is any chance you can get me like a half-price tickets or something like that? And he went, who are you? And at the time I was just DJ Viper. I said, Viper? He went, you play for us the other week? And I went, yeah. And he went, just ping your tunes, I'll put you on. And that was the one only time I ever met Sharky was one of them gigs. So yeah. So what have you got coming up then, John? With on the side of Edge MC, what have we got lined up?
Well, we've got all the gigs that the Backs to the Dock do. I'm always on there. You know what I mean? As I say, the last couple I haven't like turned up, but that's just been because I've had other things on. You know
I remember the last time I went was the 5th anniversary, and there was a big boxing fight on that night. You went down to watch that because
what had happened there? Tasha was fighting for the world title.
That's right, it was Tasha.
I mean? On the Amir Khan Kell Brook fight, and so what happened? Obviously it was a fucking free bar. So I got fucking bladdered, you know what I mean? But I hadn't drank since Christmas. Yeah. So I was bladdered, you know what I mean? And then when I come back, I was just in no fit state to fucking go anywhere, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but that was that one. And I think the one before it as well. I I can't remember if I actually went to it or I you know, I got off early, do you know what I mean? But I just remember I was just in a different place, do you know what I mean? But the way I am now, I want to go, but not stay. Do you know what I mean? So rather than being like on the promoter side of it, I'd rather just go as a performer and get off early. Do you know what I mean? Because I used to do that in the past. I used to get on like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock and then just get off. I'd drive up and go home. I didn't like doing it late, going in like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, because I think them late times, it's like, you know, even if you just have an energy thing, you go home, you can't sleep, you know what I mean? So it's like, for the sake of an hour, do you know what I mean? I'd rather be on early, do you know what I mean?
We'll speak, obviously, I'm playing the 2nd of July. It's my second time I'm back to the dock, and I had this conversation with my missus before. I don't really want to be on late myself, so if me and you both speak to Lee,
that's what I mean. It's like,
because you can MC while I'm on.
That's what I mean. Because I listen, lad, I love the music, do you know what I mean? And I love the events. You know,
3 or 4 o'clock in the morning for all the guys like us.
It's like, listen, lad, if you're bevying and that, it's different. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, if you're getting on it, it is what it is. But I just can't cope with the hangovers, mate. I can't, like, I don't want to be like, sounds like a moody Margaret, you know what I mean? But I can't be around people who are off the cakes, you know what I mean?
That's the hard part. You see, like I say, you know,
I don't like going to the toilet though, mate. Even like going to the toilet and you're having a piss, someone's pissing on your shoes. I'm like, it's alright when you're pissed. Just don't go sober, mate, and you're pissing on my shoes, lad. It's like, lads, it's like someone's like, for me, it's
the fucking roughness. You know, people putting, like, come round and they think you're your best mate and all that, and they're putting you in a headlock and they put you, you know, get off me, mate. I mean, I know you're off your banner, but I'm not. I've got to go and drive home now, and you've got your sweaty pit round me fucking head.
That's what I mean. It's a different thing, and I think as well, though, it's like, even like performing, like, I do relax a little bit after like 2 bevies, but I want to go home. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to have 2 bevies and then stay and have another 2 or get on it. Do you know what I mean? I need to have that like little ping, because where when I'm totally straight, I've got like a bit of anxiety and it comes out on the mic. I'm a little bit square. Yeah. It's like I find I am more relaxed when I've had a bevy, but then that's why I need to get off. Yeah. I don't want to be around it. You know what I mean?
See, for me, like, I think you're always going to get that fucking the pre-gig jitters and pre-gig nerves. That's what keeps you sharp, I think. You're probably right. Yeah. Maybe a little brandy would sort me out a little bit. But for me, once I've done my first mix, I'm okay on stage. It's the off stage, but I don't really like. Yeah. When you know, people are fucking, you know, coming over to you and listen, I'll speak to anyone and I'll have a conversation with anyone. But when someone's chewing their own fucking eyebrow off, do you know what I mean? It gets a little bit uncomfortable.
Well, mine, Jay, right, is I think the DJ's safe because he's behind. Do you know what I mean? So he's got the decks to keep him away. I've got them spitting in my face. Do you know what I mean? I've got them jumping up on and grabbing me and that because I said to Lee, Lee, make the stage bigger. Put the you know, the barriers back. The barriers too close. Yeah. They jump on the barriers and grab me, and it's like and it intimidates me. Like sometimes if you watch my AMC, I don't look at the crowd. I'll look at the side, because when I look at the crowd, for some reason they fucking jump at me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like I only like emceeing to the crowd when they're further back, because they just get too close. They grab me all the time, or they pull me down to give a shout out. I can't hear a word what you're fucking saying. Yeah. You're screaming, spitting in me fucking ear. Yeah. And then like, you know, it is a bit bad. When you've had a drink, you don't mind it as much. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
You're on their level a bit more.
It's like, fucking hell, mate, fuck off, you know what I mean?
The classic one is... The classic one for me, and you probably, I mean, I don't know whether I get it more than you or you get it more than me, but the classic one for me when someone goes, I'm an MC, and then he starts MCing down your ear.
Oh, mate, together all
fucking do one, mate. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, John, I'm going to throw a few names at you, and you can either give a one-word answer, or you can give a long, concise answer. It's entirely up to you. So the first name on my list, DJ Demand.
Boss.
Eddie Hearn.
Clever cunts.
Tupac.
Amazing.
Eminem.
Slick.
Sharky.
Phenomenal.
Boris Johnson.
Oh, cunt.
Joe Rogan.
Intellectual.
And Jake Paul.
Oh, what a fucking gobshite. I'd smash that cunt in a fucking instant. I'll talk about that cunt all fucking night. I would love to smash that cunt.
He's picking on people half his fucking size. He's picking on retired fighters and stuff like that.
He's not even picking on boxers, mate. He's boxing fighting fucking old fucking retired UFC fighters. What the fuck, mate?
Madness,
he's a fucking toad, man.
He is, isn't he?
He's a fucking toad.
So, John, I'm going to finish off now with some quick fire questions. Dead easy. Options. Okay? RoboCop or Terminator?
Terminator.
Roast dinner or a full English breakfast?
Oh, fucking hell, they're my favourites, the two of them. Oh,
I'm going to have to press you for an answer, John.
fucking hell. Roast dinner.
Bonfire night or Halloween?
Halloween.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Randy Couture or Fedor Emelianenko?
Oh, fucking hell. Gotta be Randy.
Right answer. Sonic or Mario?
I've got a picture with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, you know,
Randy's a fucking legend.
Sonic, our baby loves him.
Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Oh, fuck off. I love the pair of them. Oh, if you got to push me, I've got to go for Rocky.
You can only shag one of them.
Got to go for Rocky.
Dairy Milk or Galaxy?
Galaxy.
WrestleMania or the Super Bowl?
Oh, WrestleMania.
Robbie D or Ribs?
Robbie D. Ah, wait there. It's two totally
I'm
different.
going to have to accept your first answer.
Oh, you swat. I'd say that Robbie D's a legend.
Toy Story or Ice Age?
Toy Story.
Horror movies or comedy movies?
Horror.
John, thank you very much for doing this podcast. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.
Nice one. Take care, lad.
The Couture 303 Podcast with J Viper.